Hi, I'm Muhammed Hamdan and you're tuned into Nightline, the top stories. Israeli man suspected on being a spy arrested in KL. And Bentong bus crash. Passenger claims bus was speeding before hitting the divider. Good morning. Police have arrested an Israeli national suspected of being a spy in Kuala Lumpur last Wednesday. Inspector General of Police Tan Sri Razaruddin Hussein said that the 36-year-old man who was nabbed at a hotel in Jalan Ampang was also in possession of 6 guns and 200 bullets. At a media conference on Friday, Razaruddin said that the suspect had landed at Kuala Lumpur International Airport on March 12th from the United Arab Emirates UAE and entered the country using what is believed to be a fake French passport.
Apabila soal siasat dibuat, dia telah pun memberi satu lagi pasport, iaitu pasport Israel sendiri. Satu lelaki yang kita cakap bahawa warga negara Israel berumur 36 tahun. 36 tahun dan soal siasat dibuat seterusnya. Pihak kita, pihak CID Kuala Lumpur dengan Bukit Aman, bantuan Bukit Aman telah pun merampas sejumlah 6 pucuk senjata api.
Razaruddin added that the suspect claimed he came to Malaysia to kill another Israeli man because of a family dispute and had allegedly purchased all the firearms while he was in the country, with the transactions made using cryptocurrency. However, police were not ruling out the possibility that the man could be a spy and had other agenda. The top cop also said that police believe the suspect is not acting alone and has contacts in Malaysia. Authorities are also probing how the weapons, which included Glocks and Smith & Wesson handguns, were smuggled into the country. Following the arrest, police have beefed up security for the Yang di-Pertuan Agong, Sultan Ibrahim, and Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, who have been vocal on the plight of Palestinians. The suspect has been remanded until Sunday to assist investigations under the Passport Act for contravening the conditions of a passport and the Firearms Act for unauthorized possession of firearms. At a separate event, the IGP issued a stern warning against playing up the Allah Socks controversy, saying the issue has been resolved. Razaruddin stressed that the police have taken action on the matter and that the people do not need to take matters into their own hands.
Kita pun memantau juga di media-media sosial berkenaan dengan isu-isu yang boleh membangkit marah di antara kaum atau agama. So yang itu memang kita pantau di setiap media sosial dan kalau bolehlah bagi saya nasihatkan supaya tak ada lagi isu-isu begini dimainkan. Ini akan mendatangkan kegusaran, mendatangkan ketidaktentraman.
Razaruddin said even though the issue touched on religious sensitivities, there were laws in the country to deal with such matters. He was commenting on the recent Molotov cocktail attack on a KK Mart outlet in Perak. The incident is believed to be linked to anger over the sale of a pair of socks bearing the word Allah at a KK Mart in Bandar Sunway, Selangor. Meanwhile, Sultan of Perak, Sultan Nazrin Shah, has warned that racial tensions will escalate unless immediate action is taken against those responsible for throwing a Molotov cocktail at a KK Mart store in Bido, Perak. In a statement on Friday, the Orang Kaya Bendahara Sri Maharaja General Tan Sri Dr. Muhammad Zahidi Zainuddin said that Sultan Nazrin had been informed about the incident by the police and had requested that the matter be given serious attention. The ruler, he said, also believes that the majority of Malaysians are rational, moderate and place an emphasis on harmony and peace. In the 5:35 a.m. incident, CCTV footage from a KK Mart store in Bido recorded a man alighting from a vehicle and throwing what appeared to be a glass bottle containing kerosene into the shop, with the police still working to track down the suspect. The convenience store chain has been mired in controversy since March 13th after mistakenly selling socks bearing the word Allah, earning the ire of Muslims and sparking calls for a boycott by UMNO youth.
How do general takaful and insurance companies thrive amidst economic challenges with innovations and strategic market expansions? What initiatives can be undertaken to stay ahead in a dynamic environment and to adapt to changing consumer needs? We speak with Takaful Malaysia Arm's Chief Executive Officer Muhammad Sabri Ramli this Saturday at 5 p.m. on TV3 and stream on Tonton.
Now, the construction of Pulau Pinang's first light rail transit LRT project will begin by the fourth quarter of this year. Transport Minister Anthony Loke said that the project has been officially taken over by the federal government and is estimated to take 6 years, with completion expected in 2030. Divided into three main components, the project includes civil construction works for segments 1 and 2 and a turnkey contract for system works and rolling stocks. Loke said SRS Consortium has been offered the contract for the first segment after a single sourcing request for proposal. Meanwhile, the other two remaining contracts will be offered on an open tender basis. The Pulau Pinang LRT Mutiara line will begin from Silicon Island to Komta and then proceed across Penang Central in Seberang Perai. It spans a route of 29 kilometers with 20 stations, including 2 interchange stations. Moving on, the fatal accident involving a tour bus that killed 2 people and left 13 others injured on the Kuala Lumpur-Perak Expressway on Friday morning was believed to have occurred when the bus driver lost control of the vehicle. Bentong District Police Chief Superintendent Zaiham Muhammad Kahar said that the accident claimed the lives of 28-year-old foreign man Tai Min Aung and 43-year-old Malaysian woman Liu Chun Len, both of whom died at the scene. Preliminary investigations found that the 33-year-old bus driver was ferrying 17 passengers from Terminal Bersepadu Selatan, Kuala Lumpur, heading towards Kuantan. Upon reaching the scene, the bus driver suddenly lost control of the vehicle, which then skidded and overturned on the expressway. The injured victims, including the bus driver and a passenger who was seriously hurt, were taken to the Bentong Hospital for treatment. The bodies were also taken to the same hospital for post-mortem. It was reported that the incident also caused traffic congestion for several kilometers along the highway. However, the highway concessionaire and police, assisted by other agencies, managed to bring the situation under control. The cause of the crash is being investigated under the Road Transport Act. Meanwhile, a private university student, Muhammad Rufiq Kain, claimed to have noticed that the bus was speeding prior to the accident.
Time tu jalan basah.
Hujan?
Hujan.
Awak nampak, masa awak sedar tu awak tengok pemanduan ni macam mana? Belah kanan je tu?
Belah kanan laju.
Dekat highway tu?
Tu dah sampai selekor tu rasa macam badan bas belakang tu dia bergerak. Jadi macam...
Terskidded?
Jadi macam tu. Tahu-tahu dah sampai divider, pusing.
Rufiq was among the passengers who provided statements to the police regarding the express bus accident. Elsewhere in Kedah, 2 women, both senior citizens, lost their lives while another sustained serious injuries after the car they were travelling in collided with a lorry in Yan on Friday. The deceased have been identified as 70-year-old Naimah Muhammad and her friend 75-year-old Zabidah Bakar, while the injured victim, 66-year-old Faridah Awang Dahaman, is currently receiving treatment at Yan Hospital. District Police Chief Deputy Superintendent Shanas Akhtar Haji said the 11 a.m. accident occurred after the car driven by Naimah was believed to have veered into the opposing lane before colliding with the lorry. Zabidah, who was seated in the front passenger seat of the car, succumbed to her injuries at the scene, while Naimah passed away while receiving treatment at the hospital. Both the lorry driver and his attendant were also taken to the same hospital for treatment. The incident is currently being investigated under the Road Transport Act.
Silibus terlalu padat dan tinggi. Faktor keciciran pembelajaran dikenal pasti. Di pihak kementerian, intervensi kurikulum tampil sebagai inisiatif solusi.
Pastikan anda bersama saya, Fadina Siddiq, dalam Soal Rakyat, Sabtu 30 Mac, jam 4 petang, hanya di TV3.
The Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission, MACC, on Friday disclosed the value of leakages due to the smuggling activities of a syndicate, which involved members of the Customs Department at the Kuala Lumpur International Airport KLIA cargo complex in Sepang, amounted to 2 billion ringgit for the past 3 years. Its Chief Commissioner, Tan Sri Azambaki, said so far a total of 34 law enforcement personnel and 27 individuals and company owners have been arrested. According to Azam, the corrupt activities involving enforcement agencies who protect smuggling activities were uncovered through Ops Samba 2.0. He said the law enforcement personnel aged between 30 and 50 were believed to have received more than 4.7 million ringgit in bribes from the syndicate concern. Several mobile phones, laptops and 8 luxury vehicles belonging to the syndicate had been seized to facilitate the graftbusters investigation. A total of 232 bank accounts belonging to companies and individuals have also been frozen, including mule accounts which involved more than 17 million ringgit. The syndicate's modus operandi involved using the service of a forwarding agent as a middleman for paying bribes to law enforcers who are in charge of inspection to facilitate the smuggling of chewing tobacco, cigarettes, alcohol, health products and vehicle spare parts. The Kuala Lumpur High Court on Friday ordered FGV Holdings Berhad's former chairman Tan Sri Muhammad Isa Abdul Samad and former Group President and Chief Executive Officer Datuk Muhammad Emir Mavani Abdullah to pay over 3.31 million ringgit to the company, inclusive of exemplary damages and costs over the purchase of 2 luxury condominium units in the city. Judge Datuk Muhammad Arif Emran Arifin made the order after allowing a suit filed by FGV against Isa and Emir in 2018 to claim compensation of 7.69 million ringgit over the purchase of the condominium units at Troika, Persiaran KLCC, believed to be above the market price. The judge held that the defendants wrongfully used and refurbished the units as it was not done in accordance with the company's procedures. The judge, however, made it clear that the duo had not breached their duties in the acquisition of the units as it was done following the board's resolution. He also said the acquisition of the Troika units did not incur any losses to FGV as they were still owned by the company. Over in Pulau Pinang, a businessman pleaded not guilty at the Butterworth Sessions Court to 6 charges of cheating, criminal breach of trust and misappropriating 13.4 million ringgit in company funds. 50-year-old Chan Eng Leong was accused of committing the offences 5 years ago. According to the charge sheet, Chan allegedly misled a director of global tobacco manufacturer International Sdn Bhd into believing that the Customs Department would raid the company under the Anti-Money Laundering Act and seize cash in relation to a probe into excise duties for cigars. Chan purportedly convinced the victim that it could resolve the issue and received 11 million ringgit from the latter between April 11th and November 21st, 2019. He faces up to 10 years in jail, whipping and a fine if convicted under the Penal Code for cheating. Chan was also charged with criminal breach of trust and misappropriating 2.4 million ringgit from the same company between October 1st and October 3rd, 2019. The court set bail at 100,000 ringgit for all charges and set May 10th for case management. And still to come, more than 40 people killed in Zionist strikes on Syria.
Kau ni dah kenapa pergi gembat kepala di bawah atas sini?
Macam tak biasa dengan cara aku.
Tapi kau bawa pergi rumah Mbah.
Mereka takkan boleh lagi. Maksud Mbah nak benda ni viral?
Kenapa kau tak bunuh je dorang?
Mati hukuman yang terlalu mudah. Mbah nak aku buat diorang rasa tersiksa.
Money Matters is back with a new season. your key insights into finance. Money Matters. Every Saturday, 5 p.m. Only on TV3 and stream now on Tonton.
Nightline continues. Despite a binding United Nations Security Council resolution this week demanding an immediate ceasefire, Zionist violence continued on Friday, including in and around hospitals. Gaza's health ministry says 71 Palestinians have been killed and 112 wounded over the latest 24-hour reporting period. At least 15 people were killed in a Zionist strike on a sports centre in Gaza City, while injuries were reported at Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas Mosque in the Jabalia refugee camp. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has approved new talks on a Gaza ceasefire. Netanyahu's office said new talks on a ceasefire and a hostage release will take place in Doha and Cairo in the coming days, with guidelines for moving forward in the negotiations days after they appeared stalled. In the meantime, countries have called for Israel to obey an International Court of Justice (ICJ) order to allow the unimpeded delivery of aid into Gaza as it continues to flout a United Nations Security Council resolution demanding an immediate ceasefire in the enclave. Judges at the UN's top court unanimously delivered a legally binding ruling on Thursday, advising that Israel should take all necessary and effective measures to ensure without delay the unhindered provision of urgently needed basic services and humanitarian assistance in Gaza. South Africa's presidency welcomed the order, a provisional measure in its genocide case. Echoing the judge's ruling, the presidency said the only way for Israel to fulfill its responsibilities to prevent genocide would be to adhere to the court's directives and to halt military operations in Gaza. Belgium also praised the ICJ measure and said Israel must stop starving civilians and children. Meanwhile, Zionist airstrikes on Syria's Aleppo province on Friday have killed more than 42 people, including members of Hezbollah, a large number of Syrian soldiers and civilians. The air and drone strikes, which occurred at about 1:45 a.m. local time, hit Hezbollah's missile depots in Jibrin. According to Hezbollah, at least 36 Syrian soldiers and 6 Hezbollah fighters were killed in the strikes, marking the highest death toll ever among regime forces in a single Zionist attack in Syrian territory. The strikes also targeted air defense forces sites in Al-Safira, while explosions were heard in the Kafar Jum area. Local media reported that civilians were also among the dead and injured. Moving on, at least 45 people were killed in South Africa on Thursday when a bus carrying worshippers to Botswana plunged off a bridge on a mountain pass and burst into flames. The only survivor was an 8-year-old child who was receiving medical attention for serious injuries. The crash happened near the town of Mokopane, about 200 kilometers north of the South African capital, Pretoria. According to the Limpopo provincial government, the bus veered off the bridge and plunged 50 meters into a ravine before bursting into flames. They added that search operations were ongoing, with many bodies were burned beyond recognition and trapped inside the vehicle, while others had been thrown from the bus. Authorities said it appeared that the driver lost control before the accident. However, the cause of the accident is still unknown and investigations are still ongoing. The disgraced cryptocurrency mogul Sam Bankman-Fried, who perpetrated one of the largest financial frauds in history, has been sentenced to 25 years in prison. He was also ordered to forfeit $11 billion in assets. Bankman-Fried appeared in courtroom at around 9:40 a.m. local time on Thursday, giving little reaction as Judge Lewis Kaplan read out his sentence. Kaplan described Bankman-Fried as a calculating math genius who sought power and influence while knowingly committing wrongdoing. He also stated that although Bankman-Fried had made protestations of sorrow about customer losses, he had never uttered a word of remorse for the commission of terrible crimes. While 25 years constitutes a serious prison sentence, it is still far less than the more than 100 years Bankman-Fried could have received under official government guidelines. Bankman-Fried's company, FTX, was one of the world's largest crypto exchanges before its demise, following rumors of financial trouble sparked a run on deposits in 2022, precipitating the firm's implosion and exposing Bankman-Fried's crimes. Sivasangari dominates Molif to seal a place in quarters. Sports right after this breather.
Selama ini, dia hidup dalam belenggu kebencian.
Abah tinggalkan kita dan dia tak sayang kita.
Dihianati oleh insan yang dipanggil ayah. Namun, seiring waktu berlalu, akankah dia mampu membuka hatinya? Titipan Kasih, Sabtu ini 10 malam. Ramadan Raya macam dulu-dulu di Cereka Rama TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Hadirnya Ramadan membawa rahmat dan maghfirah yang tidak terhingga.
Kali pertama nak solat kan, macam kopiah dekat bawah, nasib baik kain tak jatuh.
Daripada zero saya boleh baca Al-Quran sekarang. Saya minta doa dekat Allah. Saya menyesal duduk penjara ni.
Perkhidmatan van jenazah swasta kenakan bayaran yang terlalu tinggi. Jadi saya buat keputusan tekad untuk jual saya punya motor untuk keluarkan saya punya van jenazah.
Nona di TV3 dan stream juga melalui Tonton.
Thanks for staying with us. Sports now. Badminton, the 2024 Spain Masters. National shuttler Leong Junhao's campaign in the men's singles event came to an end in the quarterfinals on Friday. The world number 37 went down to Taiwan's Chou Tianchen 16-21, 12-21 in just 33 minutes. However, Malaysia's challenge in the men's doubles remains alive as Wan Arif Junaidi, Yap Roy King advanced past the last 16 stage and will take on India's M.R. Arjun Dhruv Kapila later on Friday. And on to squash, the 2024 London Squash Classic. National player S. Sivasangari stormed into the quarterfinals after claiming an emphatic victory over Britain's Katie Molif. Controlled much of the match with her steady performance, the world number 15 faced no difficulty as she won the first set 11-6. The Kedahan then claimed a resounding victory, winning the second set 11-7 and completing the match in just 21 minutes. 25-year-old Sivasangari will next face world number 1 Noor El Sharbini of Egypt in the quarterfinals. And lastly, on to tennis now. The 2024 Miami Open, Grigor Dimitrov booked his spot in the quarterfinals after defeating top-seeded Spaniard Carlos Alcaraz in straight sets in the quarterfinals. The 32-year-old produced an impressive performance to defeat the Indian Wells champion 6-2, 6-4. The Bulgarian dominated the opening set before the two-time Grand Slam champion fought back from 4-1 down in the second. Dimitrov, however, broke a fourth time to wrap up a second successive win over the Spaniard in 92 minutes. Up next for Dimitrov will be German fourth seed Alexander Zverev. Earlier, Germany's Zverev held off rising Hungarian Fabian Marozsan to book a place in the semi-finals with a 6-3, 7-5 win. Zverev's win marked his return to the semi-finals for the first time since his runner-up finish in 2018. In the women's category, world number 4 Elena Rybakina was pushed all the way by veteran Victoria Azarenka before reaching the final with a 6-4, love 6, 7-6 victory. The 24-year-old Kazakh will next face American Danielle Collins in the final. Meanwhile, Collins advanced to her first career WTA 1000 final with a straight sets win over number 14 seed Ekaterina Alexandrova. The Florida native needed just 75 minutes to dispatch Alexandrova 6-3, 6-2. Bank officers among 16 nabbed in selling ATM cards syndicate. Stay with us.
Dukun hitam manis dengan cahaya bintang.
Nabi kata madu adalah ubat paling mujarab. Kalau kata kita tak ambil, siapa yang nak berubat?
Jika di dunia ini tidak ada lagi lebah pupus sepenuhnya, manusia hanya mampu hidup tidak lebih daripada 4 tahun.
Semua ni dia boleh belajar dan boleh mengajar. Manusia apatah lagi.
Kalau kita dapat hasilkan budak yang suka untuk mengaji dan satu orang yang boleh ajar balik ngaji di sini, saya rasa tu dah berbaloi lah.
Stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
1, 2, nah pergi bayar. Ya. Ikan takut, udang takut.
Mira akan buat butter cake bersama dengan Chef Akif Anaki.
Okay, lagi.
Keep stirring, just keep stirring. Dengar cakap chef yang melawan.
Anak-anak dah rindu sangat ni.
Anak-anak je, mak dia.
Rindulah.
Sayang, kalau demam, tak apa boleh buka. Jangan paksa-paksa.
Kenapa ni?
Jangan lupa saksikan saya Amira Rosli dan keluarga dalam Oh Mami hanya di TV3.
Welcome back. Selangor Police busted a syndicate selling automatic telemachine ATM cards for use as meal accounts with the arrest of 16 individuals, including 2 bank officers, in raids around the Klang Valley and Gombak last week. State Police Chief Dato' Hussein Omar Khan said the suspects, aged between 20 and 30, comprised 15 Malaysians, including 3 women and a Nigerian woman.
Mereka mencari pelanggan lah, rekrut individu untuk buka akaun, dan individu ni akan mendapat bayaran antara RM500 hingga RM1,500. Kemudian akaun bank ini bersama dengan kad ATM akan disewakan oleh sindiket ini kepada sindiket penipuan online bagi antara dalam bayaran sehingga RM8,000. Sindiket ini juga membawa pemilik individu ini kepada untuk daftar syarikat ke SSM lah. Okey. Jadi kalau dia buka akaun dan daftar company ke SSM, dia punya bayaran lagi tinggi.
Hussein also said that the 2 bank officers were found to have helped the syndicate to open 40 bank accounts over the past 6 months and charged about RM250 for each ATM card they processed. Investigation also found that 5 of the bank accounts seized during the raid were used in 15 cases of online fraud involving a loss of RM2.3 million. All transactions took place between February and March this year in 8 states, among them Selangor, Kuala Lumpur, Kedah, Perak and Johor. During the raid, authorities also seized 31 mobile phones and 30 ATM cards used by the syndicate. All the suspects have been remanded and the case is being investigated under the Penal Code. And lastly, in Sabah, the remand order for the 13 teenagers linked to the death of a male student at a vocational college dormitory in Lahad Datu has been extended until April 4th. Magistrate Nur Ashraf Zulhaini allowed the remand extension on the suspects aged between 16 and 19 following an application by the police to facilitate further investigations into the case under Section 302 of the Penal Code. The 13 suspects were arrested to assist in the probe into the murder of 17-year-old Muhammad Nazmir Aizat Muhammad Narul Azwan, who was found dead in the vocational college dormitory by a warden at 6:50 a.m. on March 22nd. Lahad Datu District Police Chief Assistant Commissioner Rohan Shah Ahmad said that a misunderstanding regarding the loss of money was believed to be the cause of the victim's death. And that concludes Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look as Art Basel returns to Hong Kong for its 2024 edition, featuring 242 galleries from 40 countries. Making a return to pre-pandemic scale for the fair, the exhibition also includes 69 galleries that are returning from a hiatus, alongside 23 entirely new exhibitors. With that, I'm Muhammed. Hamdan. Thanks for tuning in, and to our Muslim viewers, Selamat Bersahur.